This is my best intermediate quick tip lesson. The best advice I can give you is play the chord, then play the notes in the chord. This is not about scales or modes. This is simply using the chord tones with movement. Let's break it down. Start with a G chord. The root note is right here in the 5th fret of the D string, a G. The 5th of that chord is a D note, and it's right above that or below that, however you want to look at it. And sliding up 4 frets from the root note is a B note, which is the major third. But that great sound is just using the notes in the chord. Another D note right below it. And these movements you can do over every chord. So the E minor Now this time we're going to do the minor third because it's a minor chord, but check this out. We have the root note here in the 9th fret of the G string, and right next to that is the B note, which is the 5th of the E minor chord, the 9th fret of the D string. And then the minor third is this G. But in this case I was just bending up from the 11 to 12 here. You can hear the chord when you play the notes in the chord. For the D chord, root note here in the 5th fret of the A string is a D. And always right next to it is the 5th of that chord, which is an A note, sliding up from 7 to 9 on the A string is the F sharp, which completes that triad or the notes in the chord. But you can continue that up the fretboard. So on the 7th fret of the D string is another A note, and then the 7th fret of the G string is the D. So you can alternate sliding up. And again, from any root note, the major third is 4 frets up on that same string. Sliding up to 11, but in this case I bent it up to that tone. From 9 to 11. And then back to the root note. And the same thing on any major chord, the C. So the root note is in the 5th fret of the G string, and we can alternate again because the G is right next to it. Sliding up from 7 to 9. I just did the same thing an octave up. So we have the G here in the 12th fret of the G string, the octave. 13 on the B, and full bend on 15 of the B string. So the major third of C is 4 frets up, and it's an E note, but I'm bending up to that tone this time. And we can walk right down the notes of the chord going back to G. The notes in the G chord are G, right here the 8th fret of the B string, and the D's right above it, the 7th fret of the G string. And then the B note, the major third, is right here in the 7th fret of the E string. So we can go from the C note, which is in the 8th fret, and then pull off to that B note, and then walk right down. So we have 7 on the E, 8 on the B, and back to 7 on the G string. And then we can repeat that same phrase. So 5, 4, and then back to 5 on the D string, and then 5 on the A string also is a D note there. Continuing on, 3, 2, back to 1 on the E string here for the G note. These are great ways to have a connection with the chord. Again, my best advice is to play a chord, play the notes in the chord with movement, with some feeling. Let me know how this lesson went for you. Let's talk soon.